The Walpole Zoning Board of Appeals. Tonight is Wednesday, July 14th. It's just after 7 PM. We are back meeting in the main meeting room at Town Hall, so it's nice to see everybody back in person and having us try to restore things to the way they were and running meetings, public meetings, publicly and not on a Zoom conference call. So it's nice to see everybody here. We do have one board member who's out today, but she has not missed any of the meetings, so our expectation is that she'll apply the Mullen rule, and we'll watch the video of this and be up to date for anything moving forward. Do you want to proceed with the 4 members that we have here tonight with the expectation that the 5th member will use the Mullen rule?
Yes, Mr. Chairman.
Okay, good. Okay, good evening, Mr. Cusson. Nice to see you in person again.
Same here.
So the first case we have is case number 2024, Radke Associates LLC for 270 Moose Hill Road. This is a 40B application for an 8-unit owner-occupied development. So at this point, we have received the updated list of waivers. Patrick put together a package for us also, and the goal for tonight is to go through the waivers and at the end of that, see where we are, and we already have a draft decision. So we're not gonna, I don't expect we're gonna close tonight, but we're getting very close. Okay.
I think I'd like to have a discussion about that, if we may.
Okay, we might be able to close, but just keep in mind that if we do close, then you can't submit any more information, but we'll have a discussion.
Yeah, that's correct. The issue that we have, or concern that we have, is that we understand that there's another board member that may only be here at one more meeting. Suzanne has sold her home. So what I'd like to do.
Not sold yet.
Okay.
Well, we have to be careful.
So
here.
I don't
It's
know how
not
many more
sold
meetings,
yet.
so what we're thinking about is, normally, you would close a hearing, go into deliberation, and then make a decision. And that decision is supposed to be within 40 days of the closing of the hearing. So if we wanted to continue and keep it open, especially considering there's a draft decision, I'm hopeful that by doing it that way, we don't need another 40 days. So hopefully, by keeping it open, if that's what the board wants to do, at the next meeting, maybe you'd be able to be in the position then just to issue the decision and vote and then issue the decision.
That's possible.
Okay.
I'm not saying that that's not gonna happen, but let's just see where we get to tonight.
So either way, from our point of view, from the applicant's point of view, it's half a dozen, one or the other. It's a 40 days, one way or the other. So if you want to keep it open, that's okay too.
Oh,
All right. So at the last meeting that we had, that was held, there were some additional comments that the board that was looking for on the plans. Rather than putting it in a condition, the board had requested, let's try to put it on the plans so that there's no question as to what is the intent. And Bob has done that. Some of the issues that I understand that the board was looking to be included on the plan and for clarification was the location of the septic systems, which is shown on the plan, the proposed erosion control. You should all have 11 by 17 plan. Bob can go into the details of those items. The other thing was the construction entrance detail that the board wanted to have shown. So trucks going in and out of development have an opportunity to eliminate, hauling, and not hauling, but having dirt on the roads and that sort of thing. There was also snow storage that was requested to be shown on the plans, which he has included the snow storage, proposed landscaping. The plan shows proposed landscaping between the buildings. There was also hydrant location, which is shown on the plan as well. The only thing I think that, unless I've missed it, that we discussed was lighting. And I think it was up in the air as to what the board's preference was. My understanding is that there is an existing street lamp at the entrance. Then there was discussion about having maybe one additional street lamp further into the development. I don't know if that's shown on the plans or not.
We did not show that.
Yeah, and then there was discussion whether or not we're gonna have lighting on the individual units, you know, like a post lamp. So I kinda leave that up to the board. That can be in a decision.
On the plan.
I'm sorry?
We did show that on the plan.
Yeah. So whichever way the board wants to go, that could be in a decision, condition, in the decision. There was also the traffic. They wanted a sight triangle at the entrance, which we've shown on the plan. I think those are the only things that the board was looking for to be shown on the plans, and those plans show all that information and have been submitted. So unless you have some questions about some of those items, and Bob can get into the detail of what has been added to the plan if you'd like.
So we've got, yeah, go ahead.
Suzanne, Rob.
We've
I
got
know.
two.
I know, I'm only kidding. We're using this one July 7th, right?
July 7th, yeah.
I can't even see the shrubs. It could be just old age.
If you want, I have it on the sheet.
Oh, okay, good.
It's a little late.
Thank you. I can't just see them. I don't know
It's,
if you
it's,
have good
no,
print, but
I
I
don't.
So this was the landscape plan that I submitted for you. So I did a blow up of the units. That shows the, landscaping.
Nothing in the back?
And then buffer, between the buildings.
Sheet 6, Suzanne.
So basically, I showed some trees along the side of the road. These were evergreens on this side. I think they were blue spruce, Norway spruce. I showed some deciduous trees in the front. I didn't show any trees in the back because that's kind of planted on the property line. That's the entrance to the Moose Hill apartments. So there's really nothing there to screen. So I did show some landscaping around the front of the units. I showed lamp posts. These are the lamp posts, one in front of each unit for lighting. I did not show a street light on the cul-de-sac. I showed some snow storage at the end of the cul-de-sac in 3 spots. There will be some, I didn't show it, but obviously when the street plows come down, they'll push snow along the edge of the curb line, push it on that side. I kept the trees back so there was a little bit of space there to allow that buildup of snow. I did go through all the comments of Tetra Tech. So I redid the drainage. I recalced it to give him the 1 foot of freeboard storage that he wanted and the recharge. So I made the recharge system bigger. So that's on the plan now. What else did I do for him? We submitted the turning radiuses, the fire trucks going in and out of the site. The traffic engineer provided that. I submitted those as well. We did add the hydrant at the end, at the cul-de-sac. It's now shown. We have a hydrant right here shown at the end of the line, so that comes down. I put the bends in. The water department had asked to get rid of the 90-degree bend and put in 45s. So there's no 90-degree bends on the water line now, they're all 45s. I showed the mailbox on the landscape plan.
Are you gonna light that up?
Light it up? No.
It's gonna be one unit, right?
Yeah.
Down by where they park?
Correct.
By the, okay.
No, I wouldn't
There's
light
enough
it.
light down there for people that come home in the dark?
There's
in
a
the
street
winter?
light right here.
Oh, it's going down that end?
Yes.
It's,
Oh,
you know,
I
at
thought
the
it was down by the
entrance.
visitor parking. Okay.
No, we'll put it right at the entrance. The mailman's
Okay.
not gonna wanna drive down, so it's right here.
Oh, I
So
see.
that's
Okay,
all
I
lit
got
up
it.
at
I
the
see it.
entrance. So there's a
Perfect.
street light right there.
Yep, I
That'll
see
light
it.
it up enough.
That's the Suzanne Murphy sheet.
We put the stop signs on, the stop line that the traffic guy had asked for. We put the triangles on, the site triangles. Like I said, we went through the drainage. We gave you a new drainage report. We increased the size of the leaching chambers to accommodate the request for the 1 foot of freeboard. We gave you the paved apron on the erosion control plan. which makes a lot of sense, to be honest. It's a new road, so you're gonna break it up as you drive in, possibly on the edge.
Is that the one where Sean suggested you go out? Yeah.
So it's like 15 feet of pavement,
Yeah.
right up to the property line, it's about 15 feet. So you put the binder course down and keeps you from breaking up the pavement on Moose Hill. And there's no work in Moose Hill, there's no utilities that have to come in, they're already stubbed into the site, the water, the gas, and all that's already on the site.
That helps too.
So I think that's pretty much it. Revised some grading that he asked for. I think we did a pretty thorough job making sure everything was on there, trying to make it simpler. You know, the landscaping obviously was a separate sheet, so we added that. That's about it.
The stormwater plan had called out a few things about maintenance of the property for like street sweeping, cleaning out the basins. Was that provided as to what the future maintenance plan is?
That's in there, that's always been in there.
Okay.
That's always been in there, yes. Generally what we do is, that's in the drainage report. Generally what I do at the end is pull it out as a separate, give it to the owners for the homeowners association, so they can include that in the association. Because it's labeled as an appendix.
Right.
We can pull that section right out and make that a separate document that they can put in with the homeowners association. That's generally what I do in most projects.
Okay.
Thank you for an update on the project. Do any other board members have a question? Yeah, go ahead, Susan.
Can you tell me how far the deck is from the first unit to
This?
the property line? Yeah.
Those are patios.
The patio is from the
From the property line,
Yeah.
it's probably.
The thing I have only, I think, comes from the dwelling.
I show a 10 foot, it's 10 feet. I show a 10-foot patio. So we went with the, you know, this is pretty flat through here, so there's not a lot of, there won't be a lot of foundation showing, so these are ideal to put patios on the back rather than decks. So the grade will be really close to the first floor. You have about 8 inches of concrete, so you'll be able to go down a couple rises and get right on a nice patio. It's actually will take away the necessity for a waiver of a setback to the property line. It eliminates that waiver.
No, that's okay. And when you say it eliminates that waiver, the sideline setback is 15 feet?
20.
What's that, 20 in this district? And so you're meeting it on,
This is the closest one, 20 and a half at the street.
and so you're meeting
We
all
meet,
of them.
yeah, we meet the setbacks.
And even though it says deck on this plan,
I
it's
changed it on these plans.
on,
It says patio.
okay,
It says patio, that's, still says
Okay.
deck,
okay,
turning radius.
okay, I got you. So the,
I can barely read.
no, that's fine, that's why I was looking at that plan, and it says patio, okay, good.
Any more?
Has the fire department had a chance to look at the turning radius?
I don't know, they
We
came in a
submitted
week
to them, but I
ago.
don't think we haven't got a
You're getting
response yet, so.
You did?
Just recently, so they haven't had enough time to review it yet, but.
Oh, they have.
I mean, there weren't any issues, it looked fine, looking at it, I didn't see any issues, and we gave, you know, the hydrant's there now as well, so.
Okay. Thank you, Rob. Okay. Board members, anything else on the revised set of plans? I think you've addressed all the issues that we asked about.
I think that was good to do, actually.
It'll make it easier.
Homework assignment.
No, because now we reference the plan, and we don't have to put into words, types of trees that are gonna be planted. You know,
Well, typically in the decision, what will happen is that you'll make reference, we still have to submit the final, even though this is technically, in my opinion, a fully completed set of plans you can build with, but, we're still gonna need a final set of plans. There might be a couple things in the condition that will get, as part of the, I haven't seen a draft decision, but that would have to be endorsed by the board, final set of plans.
well, Town Council, good evening.
Good evening.
We're gonna reference this set of plans in our decision.
Right.
So I'm not sure, does this make sense? Is it, will it be clear if they submit a revised set of plans after we issue our decision?
Yeah, it really shouldn't be, I mean, usually you'll review a final set, you know, before like a building permit, something, but I wouldn't leave anything unanswered for, you know, later submission. I don't think that's what he means.
Right.
What's that?
I don't think that's what he means, because what you're saying is exactly right. If you have a condition in, you say, you know, with plantings as depicted on the approved plans or the comprehensive permit plans, you're gonna reference them clearly in your decision, and that's what you would go by. I think he just means final plans, you know,
Yeah,
to confirm compliance in the end when he's building, probably is what he means.
Okay.
And typically, at some point in time, we'll have to submit a Mylar set that will need to get recorded. And that would be the final set of plans. And it could be almost identical to this, but then you still need that final set endorsed.
Okay. So, at this point, I think what we should do is we should go through the list of waivers. And, Mr. Cusson, is that where you're at now in the process?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, there again, what we tried to do is this is a little different in that it's a condominium and it's not it's a condominium association and so forth, so it's not typical like a subdivision, so we don't have to go through the subdivision rules and regulations. But what we've tried to do is list the waivers that we believe we need in order to build the set of plans that has been submitted. Should there be something missing, sometimes there's I've had several experiences where all of a sudden in one of the regulations, it's section 3, subsection 4, 2-1-3, and we forgot something. So it's intended, my intention is to have the plans supersede those kinds of things. If there is something later on, when we get into the construction, and that happens occasionally, where there's something that the site creates an issue and we need an additional waiver of some sort, we'd have to come back to the board for that, as a change in the plan. And the board would have to make a determination whether that change is substantial or insubstantial. So, there again, this applies to 40B. So if you want to go through the waivers that, as we have listed, I'll leave that up to you.
Yep. So, the first, let's go right down the list. The first one, section 2A, and it is a special permits
It's not a
request.
special permit, so therefore we're waiving that section,
Okay.
or requesting it be waived.
And, we have here, waiver request is improperly written. Section should be identified as section 2.2, not 2A. Patrick, thank you for.
Just minor, yeah.
Minor, yep, but we can,
So 2.A is incorrect?
Well, it's technically section 2, subsection 2, so it's 2.2, not 2.8, but, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have it right here. Okay. That's not an issue. Let's take a look at the use regulations. And on this, really what it comes down to is, we're talking multiple units on the lot. Well, that's why we're here, because it's a 40B.
Right.
Does anybody have any concerns about that? I think that's,
I think the only question I had about that, Mr. Chairman, is, this section talks about dwelling for occupancy by more than 3 families. And it's my understanding that there's a single family in each dwelling unit. So there are only 2, so there'll be 2 families per building. So I don't know if we need to, but I think we wanna,
Clarify it.
well, I don't know that this is necessary
Well,
to waive because it's
I
not.
think that it's, you know, it's condominium with 8 units, and you have, I think you need it, but I think it's okay the way it is, but if you want us to add something, we can.
No, I guess I'm just saying that, I don't know, the way that I'm looking at the word dwelling is, you know, a single dwelling unit. And each unit has a single, or a single building with multiple dwelling units in it. And so I'm reading that to mean
And I
that
think
if you have a single building.
we're asking for the waiver dwelling for occupancy by more than 3 families.
And it won't be more than, I think Mr. Fitzgerald's point is that it's not, it's gonna be 2.
2 at the most.
And, but
But in the
on the
overall
site,
development,
right,
I
right,
don't know, yeah.
on the site, it's going to be 8.
And you're waiving that as well, more than one principal building on the site.
Right. I guess you're saying it's really not necessary to waive the bit about the,
There-
Right, and I guess it's also, where our understanding is it's not gonna be converted to a 3-family in the future. And so if we waive it, it just strikes me that
and
we
there,
don't.
yeah, and there again, what we have for those kinds of things, the first paragraph is sort of a belt and suspender approach.
They couldn't convert it to,
Is that like a garden?
no, without coming back here for a new section, for a whole new 40B application. They couldn't do that.
Did you reference the spreadsheet or your decision?
His letter.
All right, that's just my comment on that waiver.
okay.
Well, it makes
I
sense.
like the way that, I like doing it by the spreadsheet. It's easier to read.
Yeah. Yeah, she took that from Arlington, so that's why I took
Like if someone reads this next year,
Just
they're
what
gonna
it
get
is.
3 family units.
Arlington planner, so
Okay,
that's why it was
no.
cost.
No, because the plan goes with it, it shows it, and
Yeah.
this is out of our bylaw. This is, it's not, this isn't his word.
No, I know, it's him.
Plus,
He has that narrative
But
thing
we should,
about-
yeah, so it's just confusing.
If it's shown on the plan,
4 buildings, duplex style.
it's granted.
Oh.
We do the opposite.
Yeah.
Specifically granted, it's not.
Is that
Yeah.
yeah. Oh, yes, it says that.
Yeah.
So that whole section really comes down to that it's duplexes, 4 2 units on one lot.
Correct.
So that brings us to the next one, filling, excavation or filling of earth. So in the discussions we had, I thought we talked about this was going to be a balanced site. You weren't gonna be bringing on material or off material. Where,
100 cubic yards is nothing. So that's why we asked for a waiver. I mean, you don't cut a site that close to
Okay.
determine whether or not you're gonna be above or below 100 yards. So that's why we've kind of asked for that waiver. It is basically, we feel, a cut and fill balance, but at the same token, sometimes when it's cut and fill, the fill that's there might have to be removed and new fill brought in, because the fill that's there is not adequate, for a bunch of reasons. So you don't know that until you're actually in the site working.
okay,
100 yards is only 4 trail rules.
yeah,
I
3.
mean, just the topsoil and subsoil alone, that won't get used up on the site, not to take some out of there and bring the road gravel in, road
Okay.
base. And when they dig out for those leaching chambers, there's this big hole.
Yep.
They gotta take that material out of there, so they'll be over 100 yards just leaving nothing. And then the stuff that comes in is all processed for like the road gravel or crushed stone. 100 yards doesn't give you,
And
Okay,
that's,
it's not like we're removing, 10,000, 20,000 yards.
it's just not that big of a site,
Oh,
but I did ask in the process if it was going to be balanced site, and you did, at that point you said some of the foundation holes would probably have to come out, right?
there's overage of different materials
Okay.
there.
we
Does
can
anybody
set-
have a problem with that waiver? I don't think it's a
You
big
must be
deal.
able to use that. That's great dirt up there.
You're gonna have a lot of top and sub.
Yeah.
You can't put it all back because of the houses.
So what do you
and the
do?
road.
Take it somewhere and store it and then come back?
But the
You
fill,
gotta pay to get rid
but
of
the
it.
fill might be no good. for purposes of what we
Yeah,
need for
yeah.
compaction, for a whole
Yeah.
bunch of,
Unfortunately, there's not a lot of market for the aluminum subsoil when they mix it. They're gonna pay to get rid of it. And
What a
someone else will
shame, huh?
process it and
Yeah.
sell it back to them.
Yeah. Right, I have no problem with
Okay.
that one, though.
Anybody else have issues on that one? Okay,
No.
next one, looking at the dimensional regulations, lot area required. And of course, this is going to be 8 units on, you know, over 1 acre, hence why we're here. And it's not meeting the required street frontage, but again, it's a 40B, and that's what we're dealing with.
That's no problem.
Just to give a sense for the shortage on the frontage, it's, according to the plan, is 91, a little over 91 feet, where 150 would be required.
Yeah, what we're seeing is this is a single-family house lot that's now going to have eight units on it. And maximum lot coverage is 50, where we're at. We're at 51%, and the bylaw is 40. So, I also will say that I think that the drainage underneath the park, underneath the cul-de-sac is going to accommodate the runoff. So, it is, you know,
Are we putting these details in, like the 91 feet and the,
It's on the other side, if you flip that page
Oh.
over.
what?
The section continues.
It's too much, too much for me to flip.
Was it?
Do you see it?
oh, here it is. I mean, here it is.
Under use?
The second page, 91 feet.
Oh, yeah, there it is, okay, good.
It's just your waiver list, but I
51.5%.
put it in a
Oh,
folder.
it's
That's easy.
look at the-
It's done with
Yeah.
the-
Just to read.
But I also appreciate the, meeting the setbacks on the sidelines.
Yeah,
The other ones, you know, you're meeting them. So that's, so even though you requested that, it's not necessary, and we're gonna, we'll reference that you didn't need any dimensional relief.
Correct. Well, other than what we've asked for.
Right, which you've asked for is the 91 feet as opposed to 150 feet.
Right.
And then 51.5% as opposed to 40.
Correct.
That's-
I see.
So,
And
Tables.
there again, as we get into construction and so forth, we notice that there should be something different, then we'd have to come back to the board, but it should be fine.
anybody have any questions on the dimensional regulations? Next one.
It is good that you're specifying exactly what's
detail,
being
that's why I
allowed,
was
yeah.
asking, because the other page didn't have it, that's
As
what I
long as
didn't.
you, is it all covered in that box?
Yeah,
That's the only thing I would add, yeah.
well, it doesn't like, well, yeah,
So the next one is special conditions, where the town bylaw says not more than one principal building constructed as a dwelling or so used shall be located on one lot. The waiver that they're asking for is to allow 8 dwellings on one lot. Again, that's,
does it say it on there again?
I would say it's 4 principal buildings, as opposed to 8 buildings.
okay,
Okay, it has it on there, I think, on another page again.
What was the comment? I didn't hear the comment.
comment was that the zoning board's comment is going to say it's 4 individual buildings with 8 units.
That's fine.
I think,
And that's why we need a waiver, because it only allows one. Right.
Right. Next one has to do with the common driveway. And normally, each unit would have to have its own driveway, but in this case, the request is to allow common driveway to access all
8 units.
all 8 units. So, that actually, this is not going, this will be a question that the fire department's gonna wanna know. This isn't gonna have a road name to it, is that correct?
I think that's something we have to take up, normally you would have a pre-construction meeting, and a lot of times that would be brought up. I think it should have, personally, myself, I think it should have a name for 911 purposes. And a lot of times that name has gotta go through the the emergency process, whoever that is in this particular town, I'm not certain.
Police and fire.
Fire.
So I think it should have a name,
I think
Okay.
that name,
Suffolk Way or something like that.
Murphy's.
Yeah, I don't think you want it.
Okay, well.
I don't want a 40B, thanks. I'll take a nice mansion somewhere, thanks.
Well, I'd like to add a comment on 40B. We have been involved in many, many 40B developments, and we have won many awards for design, construction, on a lot of, there are some really very, very attractive 40B developments. So, a lot of people think 40B comes, not so good looking developments.
Well, we'll see how this turns out,
Yeah.
right?
We'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'm just telling you that 40B can be very attractive.
Well, we'll see how this one, this is one that we're gonna be looking
We'll
at.
bring a little rating, like a 9, next time we come in.
This is a very small, okay.
So,
We've been involved in some very big ones, but that's okay. And I
Okay,
think the
on the common driveway,
the
so-
architectural design that we came up with as well is, I think, quite attractive compared to what we first had.
so on the common driveway, it's possible that this is going to have a, it's not gonna be a common driveway, it's gonna actually have a road
It's
name.
still common. It's
won't be
com,
a
it's
road.
com, it's not gonna be a town road.
It's not a town road,
It's
right.
not gonna be an accepted road, so it'll always be common to these, units in that respect.
It will never be a town road, public practice.
No, it'll never be a town road, but you just said you wanted to have a name.
It's-
Driveways don't have names, not even mine.
But a lot of the
But it's
projects-
more than it's more than a driveway, and I'll leave that up to the fire chief. If he wants to have a name, we'll have a name. If he doesn't want to have a name, we won't. I think it should have, but I'll leave that up to them.
Okay. Because otherwise, it will be,
So if there's a fire, for example, oh, God forbid, over here, and they call 911, they're gonna say, "Oh, we're in a driveway between such and such and such and," it's,
They'll say common driveway, and they'll go to Common Street.
well, so, the,
it won't be
But
called
it'll-
common.
But it'll be something like 270 Moose Hill
So-
Drive, Unit
right,
1.
one
Unit
through eight.
Exactly,
Right, right,
exactly.
something
That's,
like that.
that's,
Right.
It's
okay.
gonna have a house number with a unit number,
okay,
or have a road name.
okay. So,
Oh, yeah. Well, you get a little singy.
does anybody have any comments on the common driveway besides that? So, really, my only thing, the note that I'm writing is this
Condition road name.
270 Moose Hill Road, numbers 1 to 8, or a roadway? I don't know how it could be that, a roadway, but. Town council, do you have any advice on that? Can we?
I don't, I mean.
But I
it's-
don't even know, can the town have a road? What do you think, Patrick?
Well, so one of the most previous comment from the fire department dealt with a street name request.
Yeah,
It should be
they already
submitted to the
commented
town
on it.
of Walpole Regulatory Bylaws as, I think it's section 505-1 as soon as possible. So the fire department sounds like they do
Want a
would want a
name.
name for this.
And
Well, they
because,
already asked them.
well, because we already have a Moose Hill,
Right.
and they
Oh,
could be
yeah,
driving,
yeah.
you know.
Well, you could have been a house number with unit.
Moose Hill's a long road, it goes over, you know, towards Sharon, and I mean, it could be a problem for the fire department.
A
legit.
name doesn't mean it's a town road.
Okay,
No.
I mean,
Right.
that's clear.
Okay.
There are many,
Private roads.
I don't know about Walpole, but many municipalities will have named roads, some of which are public ways, some of which are not.
right, okay.
And
good.
DPW would typically have a list, because they know which ones they're obligated to maintain.
Okay, fine, that's,
So
we
maybe
have.
in the decision, you just put that the applicant is to work with the fire department in the naming of the road. Fire department and emergency. Oh, right away.
Waive the design.
yep, common driveway, right, design. Next one, about, surety and bond for this.
It's not a public way, so in my opinion, surety is not required.
Okay.
Should not be
Fortunately, we have
required.
town council here with us this evening.
What did the peer reviewer say about it? Usually they will comment on that.
Okay. I don't think,
There was, I don't recall a comment about that.
I don't remember any comments about that.
Yeah, I mean, they, you know, the concern is obviously, well, I mean, you don't, it's not a public way, so you eliminate all that concern. You know, the question is it tied to the release of the lots? You know, your condition
There's no
for that
release,
is really
there's
tied
no
to the-
release on lots.
Yeah.
Because it's a condominium, right?
Right,
Yeah.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah,
So there's no, typically you'd have a release and the bond would be up to that certain point where you release those lots,
Yeah.
that's pretty typical. But in a condo, especially in a small,
So, for instance, the, over 55 we did on Pine Street, there was no bond for that. The town does not require a bond, that was all private. It was like 30 units in there or something. And I will tell you at the end, that the association ends up more than 70% before the project's finished. And they put the press on to make sure that the roads are finished with all the town boards, probably not this board, you guys weren't involved in that. but-
Yeah, well, we actually were involved with the fence on that, so.
Yeah, okay, so they made, you know, they almost self-police it by the end to make sure it's all finished.
I mean, you could tie it also to, yeah, that,
Last
you could
option.
tie it that, right, in terms of like a final approval that the roadway is completed. You know, whatever final approvals that you're getting before a building permit.
well, there is no final approval per se.
Well, you're gonna need a building permit at some point.
Yeah, or I mean, I've seen it tied sometimes somehow to that there shall not be a certificate of occupancy issued on the last unit until
That's a good,
Yeah,
that's
so-
a good method, if you're not
something,
following it.
something,
good with that.
until what, I don't know, but
Yeah.
I've seen that happen.
So I would recommend that,
Yeah.
you know, if you're not gonna require a bond.
But-
So
but who
C
makes
of
the
O
de-
for the
but who
last
makes the
unit.
determination that it's complete?
Building inspector would, building commissioner.
Well, yeah, he would be the zoning law enforcement officer anyhow, yeah, okay. So I would like to tie it to the occupancy permit, not the building permit of the last unit.
That's what I got. The certificate of occupancy for the last unit will be issued when all requirements of site are met.
Who makes the determination if it's met?
The building inspector,
We're saying the building inspector
Because-
is the zoning guy, I mean.
because they're the ones that will be issuing the certificate of occupancy. Okay. Site plan review, that's what we're doing, basically. That's number 13 there. And then finally, leaching area requirements must be increased by 50% for all new construction on-site septic systems. New construction includes renovation or additions to existing dwellings that may potentially result in an increased flow of a septic system. And the request for the waiver will have a deed restriction that no garbage disposal shall be allowed in the units, and the 50% increase is required per Title V.
That's where the 50% increase comes into effect with garbage disposal. So I highly recommend that it not allow to have garbage disposal on any system, whether it's enlarged or not enlarged, you just don't want them to
Right.
add to the system.
Right. So, where do you stand with the Board of Health on this?
We're actually doing soil testing next week with septic systems.
We're not asking for any waivers to Title V, we can't.
Yep. So, regular Title V, these are gonna be Title V systems for duplex, you know, how many bedrooms in each one of these?
Great.
3, so total, it's a 6-bedroom
Design.
design.
And so we usually on these, all the other ones I've done, we have a restriction, but we have a common system like that. There's no garbage disposal, it's in the deed, and it's in the condominium documents.
Speaking of that, are there any lofts in this, in the design? Okay, so it's just straightforward, it's either a bedroom or it's not a bedroom.
Correct.
No.
Yeah,
Oh.
And,
Pretty tight.
they do have,
We submitted that, you can make reference to those plans if you wanted to, so
Yep.
yes.
yeah, I'm just confirming,
Yeah,
because
no.
I've dealt with this where
Correct, no lofts, no lofts.
lofts turn into bedroom.
6
And again,
kids.
it doesn't bother me, but it's sure gonna be bothering the people that are gonna live there. And, what about these are full basements on these, right?
Yes,
Correct.
correct.
So, one of the things,
Site conditions allowing, which from what we know about the site, it should allow.
Yeah. Full
right,
basement.
right, and I expected that they will have full basements. Could also put a condition that basements are not to be, livable space.
I don't know what you call livable, but I think someone wants to put a rec room or something like that down there, it should be allowed, but if somebody wants to put a bedroom down there, that should not be allowed.
Okay,
That would violate Title V.
Right.
But if they
But I-
wanted to make a, you know, family room or something like that, that should be allowed. And-
that actually, so, what you end
So
up,
the way to say that is, no habitable no bedroom shall be allowed in,
No.
in the basement
the
area.
way I've had it worded before is habitable space, and then people come to a zoning board saying, well, you know, bedroom's habitable, so is a playroom, and.
Yeah,
and
that's
things
why I
like
don't
that.
like, yes.
So,
No
Just say
bedrooms.
no additional bedroom, period.
it ends up making the building inspector, the bedroom police, finding out when people build something out in the basement.
It does.
And he
So-
can issue, then they're in violation, he issues a cease and desist and the normal process of someone violating the building permit process.
There'll be some self-police of that by the association as well.
Yeah.
You know,
Oh.
there's 8 people living there, and they're gonna self-police that a little bit. They're not gonna want someone
Well-
with a bunch of bedrooms in the basement and having 10 kids living in the house. As your neighbors.
Okay. We'll word that, I think that's something we have to figure out how to word.
I just want to be clear on this, so there's, in our general bylaws, there's this requirement to increase by 50%.
For the garbage.
We're waiving
They
just
do
that.
for the garbage.
Right, and we're waiving just that piece from our general bylaws, but to the extent how that plays out in the Title V context, we're not really
Title V. we
touching
don't-
it.
That's
we
not
don't
a
have to
requirement,
do
that's not a requirement, Title V.
Yeah, it's not a requirement.
It's a requirement of your local bylaw.
Well, it says the 50% increase is required per Title V when garbage disposal systems are installed in homes,
That's
so.
correct.
so
So a
we're-
lot of the towns put that right in their bylaws now, they do new construction. Because you go to Dover, they build a house with 5 bedrooms, they got a garbage disposal, they got jacuzzis, you know, and these things are, there's so much flow coming out of the house that they put that in there because they know they're gonna put a garbage disposal in a $3 million house for, you know, and that's what we get in these big homes. We get a $1 million house in Walpole, we want a garbage disposal.
Absolutely.
Understood, I just wanna make,
Install them, whatever.
And
we're
then
just,
if
we're
you
gonna
don't-
waive our local requirement,
Yeah.
we're not addressing
So
what
we're gonna
the
deed
Title V.
restrict it.
Right.
They don't deed restrict it in those new homes, and then the guy puts it in anyway, and then the system fails in 5 years, and we get a phone call.
Right.
Is there an overflow for the septic?
No. You don't have overflow for septic.
No, I think what you mean is, do
I
you mean
meant
a
the
reserve?
reserve tank, yeah.
No, do you mean a
Oh,
reserve, so that
No,
if
it backs
the
up,
leaching,
Yeah,
comes out the cleaner
that's what I
in the
meant.
basement. They're gonna be the first to know, the first to live in there. No, we don't want overflow.
but actually, are there reserves for these leaching fields?
There's a reserve area.
That's what I meant.
Yes.
Title V requirement.
So there'll be 3 trenches, or I think it's 3 or 4, for each unit, each building, and then in between those, that's the expansion, so that's all designed for. So if they fail, they can put it in. Now, I am gonna have a discussion with the Board of Health, we may put them in. We may just put the expansion in and not use it. I've done that in areas where I'm on the pavement.
It's
So,
typical.
and it's up to the developer, he doesn't have to, but sometimes, it's not that much money. You just park on a stone trench, I mean, what's another 30 feet of trench with some stone in it and a pipe? You're already, to come back and do that after the fact, or rip up all the pavement and then put it all back, whereas you could do it now for a few $1,000s, and then all you gotta do is open up the distribution box.
Never worry about it.
Never, and you unplug those pipes and plug the others.
Yeah.
Okay,
That's actually pretty common.
that's the end of the
Very
waivers.
common under the pavement.
I guess this just might be for my own education, but it seems to me that the increase of 50% for the leaching area is more tied to the volume of, discharge into the system. And I'm trying to understand how garbage disposal, whether there is one or isn't, affects total flow, because you could just be running your sink while you're, and all that water's going
Putting more
out.
solids into the system.
I know you're putting in more solids, but
You're running it, you're,
But the
like,
pur-
you're running the sink, you're running the disposal, flushing it all down, so it's not like you just let the sink run, shut it off. When you have a disposal in your house, probably, I have
Yeah.
sewer, I have a disposal that doesn't work today, but they have a young child that wasn't broken. But they do, they run more because you run the water through them and you flush all the garbage down there. So they run more. And I'll be honest,
so the
they're not-
additional areas to account for the fact that there could be solids,
We
like,
find
coming
that,
up.
I've been doing this for a long time, and we find that the ones that fail on the septic, regardless of the 50% increase, is because they put so much stuff down there, and they grind it up, and it's not decomposed, but then they don't, then it eventually floats, and it gets out into the field, and it clogs. I don't care if it's 50% bigger or not, they end up with problems sometimes.
Right, thanks.
I want a condition of homeowner once a year pump out.
Yep, we can do that.
I'm gonna condition
Suzanne just
once a
said-
year pump out, because you got 3 bedrooms in each unit.
Yeah.
There's no green space,
We're
there's
gonna
no
put
green
that in the
space here.
maintenance plan anyway, absolutely.
Yeah,
So, I agree with that.
yeah.
And we'll also see how we want to word the bit about what can be built in the basement,
Yeah.
because that, I see that as a problem. Okay. Anybody else?
Could hit up the
Okay.
public.
You skipped over one item.
You did?
The request to waive the building permits, water connections, sewer connections for affordable units, which is a pretty typical
What page are
waiver
you on?
request.
This is well, no, this is on
It's on the top of the third page.
this is on Mr. Cusson's, one.
Oh, a different.
Yeah, this is all the
Yeah.
permits to connect,
thought-
and we do not, the sewer and water has requested that we do not waive these, so.
They haven't requested, you still can either approve it or not approve it.
Right. And, I think that is the
But I
one
think
way
at a
that,
minimum, the building permit should be waived.
I don't think so, and we haven't
Oh,
done that.
there again, it's all about affordable housing and the return.
You're only
and all
doing
that.
2 units.
I'm sorry?
You're only doing 2 units.
That's 25%.
Yeah.
Right, and which is what you have to do. If you did,
I
if you did
understand.
3 units, I'd be happy to waive things, but, you're doing 2 units,
We're
Yeah.
asking you to make the decision.
okay. And, board members, what's your thought on waiving fees?
I'm not in favor of it.
No.
Yeah, we have consistently not waived fees for much larger projects, so I wouldn't be inclined to do it here.
Patrick has that in his draft decision, not on his spreadsheet, so just so you know, I happened to notice that. I think Patrick had it in your decision that you're not
Right.
giving any waivers.
Right, and we, traditionally,
Yeah,
we
before.
have not done that.
Yeah, I'm not commenting substantively, I'm just telling you it's in there, it's in Patrick's draft.
Okay,
And just related to that too, I would use Patrick's spreadsheet as the attachment to the decision as opposed to the narrative letter.
from the applicant.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and there's
yeah.
language in the applicant's letter that you wouldn't want to adopt
Yeah,
about.
agreed.
that if it's
To that point, though, I think I missed the actual waiver in this spreadsheet regarding the fees, so I gotta
Right.
include that in this
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
spreadsheet.
Clean it up.
Yeah.
That's good.
I have one other comment. When we were talking about the so-called bonding, you know, the last unit, you should put in a decision that, and mass housing will require it anyhow, that shall not be, the last unit shall not be an affordable.
It shall not be an affordable, okay.
Yeah, it's right. It's too-
Was one of those situations, like I opened it,
That's
and
how
went
they-
to a previous
Oh, that's good.
version, remember we had that issue before? I don't know, yeah.
They don't allow you to build this till after.
Okay, so we've gone through the waivers. I think this was pretty straightforward.
What's supposed to
Mr.
be.
Cussin, I appreciate your submitting an updated list of waivers. And Patrick, I think you gave us a good spreadsheet to work off of tonight. So,
This whole thing, I think, is gonna go pretty quick anyhow.
yeah. Are there anybody from the public that wants to comment on this? Very
Mr.
good.
Chairman, I have not introduced Donald Wright, who is the developer. I don't know if you're familiar with Donald?
I-
Hi, Donald, right?
Okay. Good. So at this point, Mr. Cussin, we've gone through the waivers, we have a draft decision. It doesn't seem like there's anybody here to comment on it. Sounds like you would like us to close the hearing, and then we'd have 40 days to have a decision.
Correct.
Town council, do you have any guidance for us on this?
I don't, I mean, you don't wanna keep the hearing open if you have nothing further to discuss on the public hearing.
Right.
If, the only reason would be, as you alluded to earlier, if you wanted possibly, if the developer might wanna give input on your draft decision or discuss issues that came up on that, you can't do it if you close the hearing.
Well, I think you can. That's a point of clarification, not
I
additional
don't-
information. And the
The
information,
hearing's closed, yeah.
I've had Copeland and Page say they're just the
I know,
opposite.
it just,
Okay.
it's an exception to something that.
Okay.
I'd rather just go by the general rule. Assume if you're gonna close the hearing, you're done with any input. You know, so it's really up to you. If you think you're ready to close the hearing and deliberate on the draft decision, or if you think that it's useful to keep it open for that purpose. But, you know, there's also a rule not to keep it open if there really is nothing
Right.
further to talk
Yeah,
about.
I don't,
Do we worry anything about Title V?
No, your decision will be subject to state
Conditioned
requirements.
by that? Okay.
Yeah.
Because they haven't even done Board of Health.
No, but he's not, he's only seeking a state approval on that, so your comprehensive permit is
Okay.
subject to state law requirements as well.
Gotcha.
So he's gotta comply with that separately.
Same thing with the building code, any state law.
Drew, here's our final, I think this is sort of our final chance. Anything that you want to ask of the applicant or make any comments before?
No, I think, like he said, we could just condition the lighting and skip getting any sort of plan from him and go about it that way.
Okay.
We won't have be able to take any feedback of what we condition from, say, fire department or police department, which could be pertinent, but I think we can make a good enough decision as a board to condition it properly.
What if there's a condition we have to do, like I want the septic's pumped out, what if there's a condition that does come up? The Title V? That we haven't addressed yet.
Typically, the pumping out
I'm
of,
asking the chair.
I'm sorry.
So meaning if the Board of Health.
Let's say they want it pumped twice a year, and we've, just for example, they pick a different
Yeah.
condition like that.
I'm more worried that the septic systems are gonna change. Their configuration's gonna change, and that's gonna change the plan that we approve.
That's what I'm worried
That's
about,
more,
yeah.
but that's, in that case, and I'll ask town council, they'd come back from,
We'd have to come back for
Modification.
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 Yes.
The configuration can't change. I laid them out, I sized them, I got no way to put them.
Yeah, well, that's part of it, but, you
There's no
know,
other place
but
to
what
go.
if, hey, what if all of a sudden you've got 4 units going into one system as
That's a
opposed?
change, that's a change.
That's a change, right, and it would come back as a
That's why I'm just
modification.
asking these questions before we close,
Yeah.
that's all.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, we'll go with that, I'm comfortable with that.
Bob?
Yeah, I think I'm good.
Okay, okay. So I think we're real close. Amy or Patrick, do you have anything to add at this point?
So, I know Drew, you had mentioned something to do with lighting. The plan shown includes individual light posts, so I just want to make sure that's fine with the board. I know we had discussed
Yep.
different options.
I think the only other question, were you thinking about exterior lighting on the buildings or just the?
Yeah, I know they talked about adding a street light, or they're talking, there is a street light currently on Moose Hill. Is it adequate enough, public safety wise, is that sufficient? They were talking about adding one on the other end of the cul-de-sac. It's not shown, but they asked the board to condition that, so. And I don't know light screening into the back of the houses, if that's necessary or not. They said that that's the main entrance into the adjacent property, so.
And there's lights on that.
There's no, right, so there's no screening, vegetation screening to the back of the property houses that you're building from that light. So that's, I guess, why a photometric study or something would give us an idea of what you're proposing,
It's
but.
already well lit. The discussion was, there's a light here, that the discussion was to add a light there, or what we had said, we have lamp posts on individual units. So it's one or the other.
Okay,
So I'd leave that up to the board. If you don't want, and you can go through that in your deliberations, but if you don't want, if you want one instead of the other, we don't have a problem either
yeah,
way.
I get
But
you.
I don't personally think it's necessary, but that's up to the board.
Right. The plan shows, right now, it shows each unit has a lamp post out front.
Correct.
And, we can discuss, we can deliberate whether that's adequate. But I guess my thought is, that's probably gonna be adequate for lighting.
What you should add though in that is that all the lighting should be dark sky compliant.
That's it.
Yeah.
Does that work?
Make sure
Yep.
it's dark sky.
That could be your
compliant.
condition,
Yeah.
so I appreciate it.
Okay,
I'm into snow removal, you can do that one.
I mean, if there's dark sky, you know, that should be, that's pretty common practice today.
Okay, so at this point, I think we wanna ask the applicant if he wants to close the hearing.
Yes.
Okay. And, anybody from the public have any comments or anything? Okay, good. So the applicant has requested to close the hearing. This is, we'll vote on that. So could I have a motion to close case number 20, where are we? 20-24 for 270 Moose Hill Road.
So moved.
Moved by Suzanne,
second.
second by Drew. Any further discussion on just closing the hearing? All those in favor of closing the hearing, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried, 4-0-0. Okay. Good, so the hearing is closed. We will have a decision within 40 days, probably. I would hope to have it before that.
Are you gonna schedule deliberations on it, or?
It's not a public hearing, so I want to see where we are tonight after, what we're looking at for
another?
for other hearings, but yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll put deliberations on for one of our other meetings.
Great.
The next meeting.
We don't have a meeting right now on this.
Just make sure that Mary copy,
Jane.
Okay.
Jane copy. Just make sure she waves in
Yeah.
before your
I'll text her.
deliberations.
No.
Yep. And Amy, you've done the Mullen Rule with Jane before and other people, right? Okay. Okay, good night, good luck.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Thank you, it's nice to meet you.
Well, Suzanne, we'll see you when we see you again.
Yes,
All right?
you'll miss me.
Okay, so the next case we
All
have,
right, good night, everyone. Thanks.
we're gonna enter executive session under General Laws C-30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation regarding 55 SS LLC versus the Town of Walpole Zoning Board of Appeals, the Housing Appeals Committee docket number 2021-02, and votes may be taken. But I have,
I'm gonna take off, John.
okay,
Yeah,
thank you,
Amy
George.
here.
Bye, George, thank you.
And I see that we have Amy with us.
Amy, I thought you were the public.
I guess.
You said you tried to ask the public. She is the public. Well, you had your head down, I couldn't see, I knew it was a human.
Come on up.
No,
No,
that's what I just was
I've just read it, okay? You're gonna come up here and we'll,
I'll keep the door open and I'll shut it when you're ready.
okay. So, we're also on TV. So, could I have a motion to the effect that we can go into executive session as I just read it?
So moved.
do that, are you gonna vote on any of the minutes?
We are.
Could you do that first? That way, when you come out of executive session, you can just,
Okay, I actually, I like what you just said. I went through the minutes, I only have one thing on the minutes. Did you have a lot?
I didn't have a lot, but I have a few.
Yeah, I had a couple
comments.
too.
I don't wanna keep Amy here unnecessarily.
Right.
Why don't we just do next week?
Cause
There's too much stuff?
yeah, we got too much stuff. So no, what we're gonna do is, we're going to come out of executive session and then we're gonna vote on the minutes. But I think people are gonna miss the excitement of us voting on minutes, which really isn't that exciting. But thank you for asking about that. So, for executive session, did you move it?
I said move it, yeah.
Okay, so
We didn't take a vote yet.
Suzanne moved it. Could I have a second to enter executive session?
Second?
Second by Bob. Okay.
Do I need to sign?
All those in favor of entering executive session and then returning from executive session to vote on the minutes,
Jim, do I need
which
to
will
sign
not be
on the door?
televised.
You want one?
So, all those in favor of entering executive session, say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed?
look them up. You didn't, you didn't print them, right?
I guess I did.
Oh,
They're
are they in here?
folder. Did you even open your folder?
I did, but I didn't, oh, there they are, they're at the bottom, sorry, I didn't get them. I brought this though so I can see. See where the kid is. All right.
So, I went through the minutes, and I know Bob reads better than I do.
Bob kicks button reading.
Okay, so, the first one, April 5th. Did you have anything on that,
I had
Bob?
nothing on it.
Okay. I had nothing on April 5th. Let me get the one I did have something. Oh, I'm sorry, I did have something on April 5th.
Oh, good.
Oh, shoot, Amy just left. But,
Oh, she might be in the hall with Jim. You want me to run?
Drew, can you see if Amy's out there?
She's in the hall with Jen. I believe.
Bob, maybe, it says, this is about,
This is May 5th.
Yeah.
You're looking at May 5th, not
May
April
5th.
5th.
That's right. Yeah, I need all these back. These confidential
Oh,
things.
shoot, where did I put mine?
I forgot about that, I'm glad.
Oh, good, I'm glad we called you back in. Hold on, let me find mine.
Thank you, thank you.
Damn, what did I do with it? Here it is. I didn't even
You're-
write
you're
on
fine.
it,
You
it's
can
still
keep your
clean.
internet. I'm just nervous that it's lost in the file.
Do you,
Oh, God.
you said that, you said you made an edit to it to include, I think you sent something.
The fourth,
Okay.
oh yeah, take yours, take this one, sorry.
Alright.
And then I'll send you the decision again.
Did you find yours? You already gave it to him?
Talk
Yeah.
tomorrow. Yes,
Okay,
thank you.
Mine.
You're all set.
What do you need?
You had a question for us.
No.
You done it?
Wrong date. Yes, you're good. Thank you.
All right.
But I
That was
wanted
meant to happen
That
that way.
was.
That was weird.
Okay, so, the minutes of April 5th. Bob's good with them? I'm
Yes.
good with them. Anybody else have any comments on those?
No.
Okay, so,
Do 'em
we'll,
all.
yeah, we'll vote them all, at the end with any, edits.
Well, these
Next.
are the people with too many bathrooms.
Next one, April 7th, I had, this was long, but I still had nothing on this one.
I just had one comment at the very end of the vote, as a roll call vote, and there are 3 votes in favor and 2 abstentions.
Where? The last
At
one?
the very last,
Oh. So
so it should be
just
302 instead of 402.
Okay.
Jane?
Jane did? On the Drury Lane people?
No, no, on Wall Street.
Oh. Oh, we moved way down.
Oh, well,
Is that the one that I
Is that what it
abstained,
was?
had a hissy? That could have been me. Remember I had a hissy one night and abstained?
yeah,
You
Yeah, that
and,
was
Yeah.
it.
you and Jane.
Okay,
did.
there I am. And
Yeah.
Jane followed my
Right.
trail, that's what it is.
but it wasn't 4, it was 3,
3.
302.
Yeah.
Because you didn't understand what we were voting
I
on.
didn't
Right.
understand, and
No,
I didn't trust him. Can I say?
Okay, next one, so you'll make that edit?
Oh, yeah,
Okay,
I'm
okay, yep.
marking that message.
Next one, April 14th,
I was okay with that.
I was okay with that one also. Anybody else?
No.
Okay, May 5th, this is the one I had a question on, and it says in here that,
Which one are we under?
sorry, under 300 Stone Street,
Okay.
the 4th line down, it's, starting in the 3rd line, it says, Mr. Pucci reiterated that the ZBA denied the application on the 3-2 vote. The appeal was then denied by Mass Land Court. And the applicant's attorney then served the town clerk with the complaint, which was brought it to Mr. Pucci's attention by the town administrator in order to answer and defend on behalf of the board. So I guess my question is, if, the way I read this was land court, it was denied by land court, then,
Yeah, I think it should say the appeal was then filed with the Massachusetts Land Court
okay,
Okay.
and then served the complaint on us. That's-
okay. So, because if land court denied it,
Yeah,
we wouldn't be
we'd
here.
Right, right.
Okay. That's my only edit on that.
I had an add-on in there that the building inspector was disrespectful to me, I felt. and I said that I know this property well,
So
and he
I,
said it doesn't matter.
so I did add that Mrs. Murphy reiterated that she has thorough knowledge of the property.
And Mr. Yankovic said it did not matter.
I said Yanovich reiterated that the remand is for the purpose of deliberating based on the bylaw states relating to the section of relief that's requested and not personal opinion on the specific lot, which was verbatim.
So, but do you have the bit about, where do you
Yeah,
have in here?
right before that, so it's the,
It says I have thorough knowledge of the property.
reiterated that she has thorough knowledge of the property, yeah.
Whatever.
Well, hold on, where,
It starts at the 7th line from the bottom, Pucci had relayed, then it says, Mrs. Murphy.
no,
Reiter,
hold on. I'm reading my copy. Maybe,
oh no, I provided everyone with updated minutes.
I'm,
in the folder.
this is the one I printed out. Is this an updated one? From what
Yeah.
you sent out? Okay, hold on.
I just thought he was pretty disrespectful, and I bet you $10 he hasn't even put his boots on and walked that property. I'd be willing to put money on it.
Okay, well, you don't know that.
I don't know that. I don't have much money to
Okay.
put on it
Okay.
anyway.
Okay. You will in August.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, so,
I had a couple others
Yep.
on that particular case.
Yeah.
A few lines down, where it says, Mr. Pucci stated that the former community development director, previously Ashley Clark, I think we should strike the word previously,
Okay,
and then put a comma after Clark.
okay.
Where is he? Are you on Wall Street?
No,
No.
same one, 300 Stone.
Oh, at the top, okay.
And then in the next, sentence starts, my period, Pucci.
I missed
Oh,
it.
that's the one I saw, okay. I knew I saw that somewhere.
Sorry, George.
So then the next one I have was on the Wall Street development.
okay, moving down.
And item, in the list there, 5D4A, say special permit requirement not applicable, the phrase subject denied for further conditions. And I think we made, I'm not exactly sure what,
I don't remember.
my
that.
understanding was we were going to consider further conditions, but that we didn't deny it for the purpose of further. I don't know, I guess it's just unclear to me what exactly we meant there.
Yeah, I don't have my notes on me. but
Special permit requirement, not,
Not applicable.
and I just
Maybe
leave-
further clarification?
I guess we should say
Or-
a waiver denied, subject to further conditions or something, subjects to further conditions in the decision or something to that effect. I think that's what we meant, but,
Yep, that's
This-
fine. If you wanna make
We
that
have to be
edit.
careful,
Okay.
that's all I had on that set of minutes.
Next one was May 19th, and I didn't have anything on this one.
I had, one on the Moose Hill, the first case. If you go about halfway down, where Mr. Truax gave an overview of the project,
Mm-hmm.
which include the following. And then the third bullet, at the very end, it says, and another hydrant is located in the property to the rear of the site. And I think there wasn't a hydrant there initially, and we requested that be included. They didn't come out and propose, as I
No,
recall.
there's a hydrant in the back, it's in the other Moose Hill development, I think, that's what he was talking about.
Okay, we're saying that there's a hydrant located on the adjacent property.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Maybe then, can we just
Yeah.
say that, and another hydrant is
Located
located
on
on
the yeah.
the adjacent property
Sure.
to the rear of the site?
Yeah,
Okay.
if you put the word adjacent.
Okay, thanks.
Well, it's not clear, it says, I see what you're saying, Bob. Hydrant is located in the property, it should be on the property to the rear of the site. Well, actually, on the adjacent property.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
To the rear of the site, okay.
That's all I had on that one.
Next one was May 26th.
Is it okay with that?
Anybody else? Okay. And then the last one, I believe, is June 23rd, which was, I was okay with this one.
I just had one little nit on this one. Or actually a couple. So in the Moose Hill case on the second page, for the very last paragraph before the vote, sentence that starts, Mr. Lee expressed that an updated list of waivers should be submitted by the applicant,
Mm-hmm.
specifically indicating, I think we strike the
Oh.
word the, and just how much relief is needed.
Yes.
And then on, the Walpole Sewer and Water Department
Yep.
case, about halfway down through that first block of text, it picks up, an increase in hours of operation is due to the septage haulers experiencing tight time constraints on their hauling, therefore creating the need mitigation.
Need for mitigation?
I think we should say need for additional time. I think,
Who's that other guy?
What page are you on? Oh, I think yours printed different than mine. Okay.
Wasn't
Rick,
Rick,
he
was
spoke
that other
against
guy? It
Marshall,
was Bernie.
Mr. Bernie
Yeah,
Marshall.
but he did
therefore
most of
creating
it.
the
Rick
need
hardly talked.
mitigation. Do you see that?
And that Bernie said that there's one hauler in
Yep,
particular.
we're
It was him
creating
that
the
said it.
need for mitigation.
Well, I think in strike mitigation
I
and
was
say
gonna
for
give Ricky
additional
crap,
time.
and I couldn't
Okay.
because he didn't talk.
Or
Really?
additional hours of operation.
We're on TV.
Okay.
Sorry. Well, it was not this one.
Okay. You know, Suzanne made the point that, it- a lot of these points were brought up by Mr. Marshall, but do you remember which one?
I don't think Rick made any. Mr. Marshall definitely is the one that explained that there was one hauler in particular. I think Mr. Marshall made all of them. He made that first one where it explains the reason for the request to change in hours. He started off, he did most of the talking. I mean, we can wait and do it next time,
No,
and she can review
no,
it if you want.
You know what? I think, the first two, I know, the second part is Mr. Mattson further explained, and that is correct.
Right.
Because, but it was Mr. Marshall,
It was Marshall, and those two on that, like right on top of each other.
here, I'll pass it over to you. Those should be Marshall,
Yeah.
Mr. Marshall.
Okay. Yep.
So, that being said, and that was a lot of minutes, and Amy, thank you for getting us
Yeah,
caught
good
up
job,
on those.
Amy.
Bob, thank you for your diligence on those. You know, not as that you caught, you know, I just breeze over those. Okay, could I have a motion to approve as amended the minutes for April 5th, April 7th, April 14th, May 5th, May 19th, May 26th, and June 23rd?
So moved.
Second?
Moved by Suzanne, second by Bob. Any other discussion on the minutes? Okay, all those in favor of approving those minutes, please say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, so carried. Okay, very good.
Do we need to schedule the deliberation session for?
Yes, we do.
Because I don't think we have, if I'm not mistaken, we don't have a meeting scheduled for August.
Right.
And
I
August
gotta do it at-
11th is when you
I
turn
gotta
into
do
a
it at the
pumpkin.
beginning, yeah.
So,
Let's
we have a meeting next week, and
The fourth,
what,
the fourth deliberation?
no, that's the 21st is our next meeting.
21st
21st is
is
next
our
week,
next
yeah.
So-
hearing, meeting.
The question is, would you feel comfortable, I'd ask everybody to really go through the draft decision. It's still
So,
26, 24 pages or 26 pages?
I'm gonna probably make some edits tomorrow and probably early next week, and then I'll send out again.
Okay.
Just to,
Yeah, I went through it, I had just some minor comments here and there, so I can just.
if you wanna get, yeah, that'd be great.
So you wanna do,
So would people want to do August 4th, or would you rather do July 28th?
July personally, but I can drive back from the Cape.
Nope, I'll be on the Cape.
I can give you a ride.
I would
My
actually
one
rather,
vacation
We
I
can all
take a year, I
carpool.
can certainly
I'd
stop
rather-
doing that.
I'd rather do, me personally, I'd rather do it on the 28th, and I think,
Let's do the 28th.
my hope is that we'd wrap that up
On the 28th.
for the 28th. I mean, we'll deliberate, but I ask everybody to go through the decision beforehand, so we come in here not deliberating, but deliberately focused on the decision. And we could talk to Patrick during the week,
Yeah.
coming up to that, to make sure that we're good with it. I think that if we work everything out beforehand, the deliberations will be relatively quick.
Yeah.
It's 8 units, it's not that complicated. Is that okay? Bob, are you good, okay with the 28th?
Oh, sorry, this one.
Don't forget to post it.
That's what?
I've never forgot to post. I'm good.
Yeah, 28th is good.
Okay.
Yeah, I will let Jay know, or you can, someone can let Jay
Yeah.
know.
Mr. Chairman, I'm assuming you want me to also run this by town council as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, once you make the edits and Bob has any edits,
And do you have like the comments on the waiver list? I was jotting things down, but they're not, I'm
That-
sure you
that
have.
took-
to, so-
You
you
got
know
it
what,
all?
if you post, if you can let us have access to the waivers list,
Yeah.
I'll put in my comments and can you,
I'm gonna do a Google Doc. Throw that
Do you
in.
want all my conditions? Should I email you any conditions I have? You'll probably get like all the
Yeah,
dates.
if you want to, yeah.
Okay.
Do it that way.
Okay.
so just give us access to the Google Doc for the waivers and we'll go from
Absolutely.
there. Okay? Anything else? Nice to see everybody in person.
Motion
Yeah.
to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn, okay? Motion to adjourn by Suzanne,
Second?
second by Bob. All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, abstained, good night.